going on, framers? Well, I had to seek balance in my life. How I now see balance is like in the literal scales. Um, and I seen this earlier as I was walking. I saw like a. It looked like a ram, but it really looked like, cause it looked like this. But ooh, wow, that's deep. Wow. The ram, this Libra is the upside down ram. Wow. Like, look, I just want to know that I'm not speaking. Look. Look. Oh, no, it's not. Well, yeah, it looked more like this, right? But if you take the scales off and you bend it, it looks like a ram. If you take the scales off of the air, off of the if you took the scales off, you see the ram. Look. Took those scales off. Well, no, that's wrong. Maybe it's because the way I drew it, or like I'm thinking of a different type of scale. Because this is not the only type of scale that you can see. Because I'm thinking of an upside down scale. Yeah, I'm looking at this scale. This is the scale that I'm thinking about. But anyway, but same thing. It's not the same thing. That's wrong. But even if you could see what you would see here is it's similar when you draw it. It's kind of just upside down and bent. So if you see this tips here, so it's not extreme. It's not an extreme picture. This looks like the fancy scale, but if you take this off, you take this and you just bend this, you get a ram. You instead of bending it at the edge, you bend it at the curve, you get a ram. But yeah, are you getting more weight in the scale? Are you putting more weight in the scales? Are you putting? Hold on, let me see. Are you putting more weight in the scales? And yeah, are you putting more weight in the scales, tipping the scale over? Like if you look at the Libra scale, are you tipping more here? Like if this is your side, this is the other person's side. This is your side. This is the what's going on? And if you're in a relationship and you're putting more weight here, you're putting more weight than that person is, and they put in when they can or when they feel like it. I think that's an out of balance relationship. Like you really got to examine, is the scales like this? And like, are you putting in more on one side than the other? And even Ty Lopez is like, you gotta balance the way you make money. So what I had to learn in that is like, in other words, if you sell weed and you know how to make 1,000 a week, flip that into a car where you can do Uber and you don't have to do that all of the time. And buying a car or or um, or having people ride your car and pay. To ride your car with different situations. Because it's about balance. This is illegal. This is legal. So if the scales is not balanced, one will violate the other. And you can go to jail here and you still make this. The goal is still this you can still make this money. But you go to jail here, you keep your life here. So you have to really think that and it depends also on your moral code, etc., etc. We're not gonna talk about that because that's more Sagittarius. But you still be able to make 1,000 plus more a week, right? If you flip it into clean money, like Jay-Z would say. But if you don't, your scale of how you make money is out of balance. So usually, because the universe is about balancing itself out, you will get caught. Eventually. It's just a matter of time. No, it's not. 8. I think 4 is the number of Libra. 9 is the number of Aries. 8 is the number of Scorpio and Capricorn. 8 is karmic. It's a karmic number. Are you with? This is just questions to think about. Are you depositing more than than the situation allows? And that's just like if you have to think about because Libra rules Venus, and all co-ruled by Taurus rules the second house, which rules money or your personal income, right? So are you, when it comes to a bank balance, are you depositing more than the situation? In this case, to say a situation allows you to withdraw. So if you don't, again, you'll be out of balance on the weight scale. Are you withdrawing more than you're depositing? And let's say you're in a relationship. Are you taking more than you're giving? Are you spending more than you're stacking? How often do people call you to add? How often do people call you to add? Do they call you to subtract? Do they call you for a loan? Do they call you for do they call you a loan for your energy, meaning like they take it and they give it right back, or do they just withdraw and it leaves you with nothing? How many times do people call? How many times do they call to subtract? Like I said earlier, if I disappear, it's out of self-love. Some of us don't disappear out of each other's lives because we want to be emotionally unavailable. Some of us really disappear out of self-love because we have so many people who withdraw more than they deposit. So pick very wisely who you're obligated to. Let me say it again. Pick very wisely who you feel you're obligated to, because if you don't, if I've realized very quickly, especially with women, they will be quick to say I am not obligated to you. So they'll just in a very cold way leave you out in the cold, because they remind you I am not obligated to you. You are not my man. You are not my whatever. Even though I think it's very disingenuous, and I think it's very out of character, and I think it's very out of pocket if you do this at the wrong time. Because if you do this to the wrong person, once they no longer need what you obligated, quote unquote, for them to do, they will treat you the same way. Are you meeting your needs? Are you and you have to see, you have to be honest to see if you're failing, or if you're failing or you're succeeding at meeting your own needs. No one will meet your needs like you. Let me say that again. No one will meet your needs like you. So are you failing, or are you succeeding to meet your own needs? And I had to realize in my own life that I was failing to meet my own needs. So I had to stop. I had to subtract from people, because stop trying to withdraw, stop depositing on people, because I'm failing to meet my own needs. Are you in the negative emotionally or financially? So you have two bank accounts. You have your emotional bank account, and you have your financial bank account. Are you ignoring are you ignoring it, meaning you being in the negative, to fill others positively? Are you depositing in other people's emotional or financial bank account because you are you fulfilling others emotionally and financially, and you're in the negative? Are they going out that same way to make sure they're depositing in you? Are you going out there? Are they going out their way to do the same for you? Like, if you call them to make sure that you add something, and I had to learn this myself. Every person that I speak to, I make sure I add something. I'm an adder, not a subtractor. Like, I don't call to take from people. And that's one thing I had to realize myself. I don't call to do this. 95 of my conversation is this, or at least on my end. I never really call to do this, ever. And I gotta be mindful of people who are not calling me to do the same thing. They're calling me to, they may add a little bit, and then for the most of our conversation, they subtract. So I had to check my bank balance and see what the fuck is going on here. Do you have trust, or do you have allegiances? A trust meaning they have. Let me Google. Let me make sure I show you what I'm talking about here. Trust is the belief, the firm. Here it says the first word, the firm, not flaky, not bullshit. A firm belief in reliability, truth, ability of strength of someone or something. So if you're with a person that is not reliable, that doesn't speak truth to power, or doesn't speak truth, that you don't trust their abilities, their capabilities to do shit, to make shit happen, or their strength, then they're not trustworthy. All you have is an allegiance. Allegiance is loyalty or commitment to a subordinate. Loyalty or commitment of a subordinate to a superior, or an individual or group or cause. So that means you have an allegiance, not even an alliance, an allegiance to a person who's in a higher position you at the time, an individual, or to an individual, to a group, or a cause. Most times it's a cause. your loyalty. You're loyal because there's a cause that benefits you. No matter what they are, you're loyal to a cause. Once this cause is gone, the scales go back out of balance. Now you may be having allegiance because they're your mentor or whatever. That's fine too, but that doesn't mean you trust them. It just means that, well, you can trust your mentor most times, but most times it's not really trust. It's because you get this fucked up, and I used to get this fucked up. This is not. Sometimes you can't even trust your mentor. Sometimes it's about, or your guide. Sometimes it's just about the allegiance to the cause. And once that cause is over, you leave. And then after the allegiance is over, you see if you can trust them or not. Are you being honest about your transactions with people and yourself, financially and emotionally? So I had to realize I was not being honest with myself about my transactions with others, my give-take ratio. Because a true giver cannot really give unless he's able to be a true receiver. If this is not in order, if you're not able to receive in a situation or person, place, or thing, then you're not really giving. You're sacrificing. That's deep. If you're not receiving in a situation, when you give, you're sacrificing or you're subtracting. You're not giving, you're subtracting. You're not adding, you're minusing. So enough minusing looks like a sacrifice. That's why you feel like you're killing yourself at whatever situation. $12. Are you lasting long? No pun intended. If your fuse is short because you've been burning out due to bad transactions. So I had to understand that my fuse a lot of times was short was because I had bad transactions with people who are not fueling my own balance or harmony. If you have too many negatives, no's, triggers to any of these questions, remove what's being put in the scale, no matter how painful, because it will destroy your mental, because Libra is a mental sign. Which is the end of all. So go to bit.ly or click the link in my bio /astrology forum. In caps. Not this in caps, but this in caps. To book your session with me. Like a great example of this is if somebody doesn't want to pay you for a service, that's out of balance. Why is that out of balance? Because physical energy must balance with let's say spiritual energy. Like if you're giving the intangible must balance with the tangible. Because if you don't have this balance between the intangible and the tangible, you're out of balance. If you have too much tangible shit, you forget there is an intangible. If you live too much in the intangible, you don't live in reality. You live in la la land. So When somebody doesn't want to pay you for a service, that's out of balance.